Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Witch from Nepal, a Hong Kong movie from 1986 that stars Chow Yun Fat. It was directed by Ching Siu-tung. I would describe this as a fantasy, thriller, romance, horror hybrid. Yeah, this one's a little bit different. Joe and his girlfriend travel to Nepal to escape their busy lives. However, their vacation takes an unwelcome turn when Joe is injured while on safari, and then he goes missing for a short while. Once found, he's brought to a hospital where a mysterious woman tells him that he has been chosen to be the leader of a mystical tribe in order to fight against an evil sorcerer. Upon returning to Hong Kong, Joe tries to forget about this ordeal. However, the mysterious woman tracks him down, and the two soon fall madly in love. Unfortunately, the sorcerer is also in Hong Kong, searching for the mysterious woman, and Joe soon finds himself embroiled in a savage fight between good and evil. Now, the opening scene gives us a glimpse of this cult, with a leader who roars like a panther. The mysterious woman escapes the cult's lair and successfully flees. And then we see Chow on vacation, putzing around with his girlfriend, hanging out with elephants, and partaking in some street foods. This mysterious woman, however, is definitely stalking him and linking with him in psychic ways, which results in some physical injuries after he falls into a river. And this lady's kind of crazy, and her intentions are somewhat perplexing. But she befriends Chow early enough, and then they team up. Now, there is a healthy amount of creativity here, with a bunch of head-scratching little moments throughout. The interactions between the leads include some weird stuff, like telekinetic tricks and movement of objects for fun. Of course, Chow's character actively cheats on his girlfriend, which is definitely slimy behavior. The movie does not judge him on this as well. Actually, his girlfriend is a completely useless character that could have been written out entirely. There's a short sequence in the middle regarding her teaching some kids dancing that's really boring and could have been edited out of the film. That's one of my criticisms of this movie. From a traditional filmmaking perspective overall, the script writing in Witch from Nepal is wafer thin and nonsensical, which is not that surprising when you consider some of the loony genre benders that Hong Kong was producing back in the day. However, the truly surprising thing is that most of these subgenres that I previously mentioned are explored but tempered in weird ways. It's almost as if the filmmakers are giving you like a taste of fantasy, then a taste of thriller, then a taste of romance, etc. Usually in Hong Kong films like this, even genre benders, like one or multiple of the subgenres would really like stick out and punch you in the face. You know, whether it's a high-octane action scene or a crazy horror sequence or a loony fantasy moment. Witch from Nepal does not go all in on really any of these subgenres, but it has glimpses of all of them. So if you compare this to something like The Seventh Curse, you know, in that film, we got big pops of action and horror, you know, big set pieces and stuff like that. Whereas Witch from Nepal primarily acts as like a supernatural drama that dabbles in the other genres. I'm pointing this out because it took me multiple viewings to appreciate this tempered sense of oddness, and I think it will be one of the main criticisms of people who watch this. There are enough cheesy fun moments, though, that make this entertaining. For example, the way that Chow recovers from his serious physical injuries, clearly a broken or severely sprained leg that he incurs early on, and he heals from it in completely ludicrous fashion. There's a weird electricity entity that shows up for a few seconds, very bizarre. There are multiple escape scenes from the hospital, and, you know, you're not really sure why all these hospital employees are chasing our protagonist down. They mention immigration services at one point, so I guess that's the reason. But yeah, you know, there's little stuff like that. There's a scene where someone gets set on fire, and then is perfectly fine the next scene. a few brief moments of stop motion animation, special effects, which are always nice. And the graveyard scene is quite effective. And then we get the finale where Chow and the boss enemy are in a high-rise building. So, it's like... But none of these set pieces are as good as, like, the big set pieces in something like The Seventh Curse. You know what I mean? But the runtime is less than 90 minutes long, which always helps. So I think, like, Witch from Nepal does kind of lack those big set pieces that, like, you'll remember forever. And therefore, it does not really compete with my favorite Hong Kong genre benders of the era. But it's still an interesting movie that I do recommend. Okay, so if you like, you're not going to see something like this in 2025. So it's almost like the further we go along with cinema, and the further we're removed from this era of Hong Kong filmmaking, the more I appreciate it. Because, like, just no one makes movies like this. So, yeah, this is a pretty good flick. It's available on Blu-ray from 88 Films, but it's also streaming on Fubo TV. So let me know what you think of this one. I think this one might be a little bit more divisive than typical films of this kind. But in any case, I'll see you next time.